Hi, I'm Tracy with the Felted Desert, and welcome back. On our last video, we learned how to make a wire armature like this. Today in our video, we're going to learn how to attach the wool, the core wool, and what needles to use to do that. This is a very beginner's course. This is not for someone who's experienced, who's been making, animals and making characters. This is for someone who's really never felted and they aren't sure how to go about it. So if you watched our armature video and you've made your little armature here and you're wanting to continue your journey, then this is the video for you. So today we're going to take our little armature, and first what I want to tell you is before you get started, you're going to need the right needles for this, because this is your core wool. This is the needles that you're going to need to get started for this job. And we have 3 needles that we recommend for this here at the Felted Desert. These are the needles that we carry, that we use for core wool. We have 2 36 gauge needles, and we have 1 38 gauge needle. So they are our hot pink, our red, and our yellow. All of our needles come with color-coded cards that tell you exactly what the needle is used for, what gauge it is, and what the shape of the needle is. So the first one is our 36 hot pink, and it is a triangle needle. This is a workhorse needle. It's just a standard core heavy gauge triangle shaped needle. This will do all of your core wool. It's a great all-around needle for whatever you need. It's great for core and shaping, like 3D projects. It's wonderful. The next one is red, the red needle. This is also a triangle shaped needle, but it has different shaped barbs. Even though they're the same shape, the barbs themselves are a different shape. This one actually grabs a little bit more wool, and you can feel it. It has a little bit more pressure as you're pushing in. It is really good for shaping your project after you've got your core wool on. The third needle that you could also use for your core wool and your initial shaping is our yellow tip needle, which is a cross star, and it is a 38 gauge needle. So the 36 is going to be the largest needle size. The 38 is going to be just a hair bit smaller, but it's just as good of a workhorse needle. Any one of those 3 needles would be perfect for starting your core wool project here. So those are the 3 that I would recommend for starting your project. So let's get started. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the 36 triangular, the hot pink one, because I like hot pink. So what we're going to do is we want to learn how to start our core wool and get going, like this little guy here. He's actually one of my sculptures I'm working on. He's a wolf, and he's going to be with Marilyn Monroe. Well, actually, she's going to be Bunny Monroe, but he's the wolf that's going to be on the sculpture with her, which I'll show you in a few weeks. So we have our little armature guy here, and we've wrapped him. His little arms are on, and he's got his pipe cleaner in the center of the body. And this is where I usually start, right here, because this pipe cleaner kind of gives you a little grit for the core wool to get started on. So what I like to do is open up your core wool. You're going to fold it out because it will come in long strips like this. Once you get it all folded out, you're going to take it and you're going to pull thin, long strips off like this. And this is what you're going to start with. You're going to start next to this pipe cleaner body, and if you want to, you can move the little top arms out of the way if they're bothering you. And you're just going to wrap it nice and tight. Hold your thumb on the back side and just wrap it nice and tight a couple of times. And then you can take your needle and at an angle, don't go jabbing straight into this, because if you hit that wire with the tip of this needle, you will bust the tip off and that needle's done. Once you bust the tip off, it's done. It's gone forever. So very gently, you do not have to jab and stab hard. You're going to very gently tuck that wool in at an angle, kind of go sideways. The other thing I want to show you before you get started is how to properly hold your needle. A lot of people, when they're first starting out, they want to hold the needle. They're kind of afraid of it. So they want to hold it very gently at the very tip like this. You have no control over this needle if you're just holding it with these two fingers right at the tip. You really want to grip this more like a pen or a pencil. So you've got your fingers on the side, the thumb is on this side, and this pointer finger is on the top of this needle. You can do two fingers and then the pointer finger on the top, or you can just do one with the pointer finger on the top. I usually have two, like this, with this pointer finger on the top. This gives you this finger to really, really steer the needle, if you want to call it that. So anyways, you're going to go in at the angle here, sideways, very gently, sideways. I'm doing it up in the air. You're going to do yours on the pad because you're new. You don't want to stab your fingers. Keep your fingers away from the needle. Always have Band-Aids nearby because you're going to need them. Until you've been stabbed 3 times, you're not officially a felter yet, just so you know. That's the rule. So you're going to secure it just a little bit so that you've got it on there, and then you're going to continue wrapping around the base of the body here. And then you can take your hand, this core wool here is our Hamanaka needle, wada wada. And look at that. If you just rub it to itself, it actually sticks really well just on its own. It's got a little lanolin in it. And then once you get it that way, again, you're tapping on the side over here. You're not jabbing down in there because there's a wire in there and you don't want to hit that wire. So very gently tapping to the side, and I'll do it up here so you can see what I'm doing. You're very gently tapping it down. You don't have to get this thoroughly secured at this point because all we're doing is getting a base started. Tapping on the side, tapping, tapping. The barbs are doing the work. The barbs on the underside of this needle are doing the work. So you don't have to do this really hard. I'm just barely tapping. And it is, you can see, it's grabbing that wool and it is pushing it down. Because all I'm doing is using the needle and I'm pushing the wool down into the bottom layer below it. See the little hump there? Watch this. There it goes. Getting pushed down into the wool below. So now I've got a pretty good start there, and you just keep rotating it and doing each side. Once you got a pretty good firm little grip on there, you can start wrapping again. We do the same thing over and over. We take another long string. And let me just show you this. You can see right here, this has a little bit of vegetable matter in it. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's in the middle of the core wool. I pull mine out. I don't really love it in there. Some people don't mind. You're not going to see it once it's on the inside. But if you don't like it, just pop it out of there. Now, when you get ready to do layer 2, you've already got this base layer on here. Lay this on here at the tip. Take your needle, secure down just the very, very end of it, very gently. Now you can wrap because it's already secured on there. It's not coming off because we've secured the very end. You can wrap all the way around. Now keep in mind how fat you want the body. What type of thing are you making? There's some more vegetable matter. You know, is it something that has a pear shape and needs to be wider at the bottom? If so, maybe you want to wrap more, you know, wider going down towards the bottom half, like this. Is it going to be really, really big? Because if so, at this point, you don't need to worry about it. You just keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. And then you're going to keep stabbing it with your needle. Once you get it on there, being very cautious of the wire. Until we get this built up enough to where you don't have to worry about the wire, you have to worry about the wire constantly. you're going to want to keep a small old medicine bottle with the locking cap on hand all the time, because when you break these tips off of your needle, and you will, you're going to want, number one, you're going to want to keep a small pair of needle nose pliers, because you're going to want to fish it out of your piece. Get it out of there. Don't leave it in there, because if an animal were to get a hold of your little critter at some point and it tore it apart and it got a hold of that needle tip and swallowed it, it would be horrible. Or a child were to get a hold of it, it would be equally horrible. So you want to fish it out. You want to dispose of the tip of that needle, the broken off tip, and the broken needle. Just stick them in the medicine bottle, put the locking cap on there, and then just keep filling it up. When it gets completely full, you can dispose of the whole thing in your recycle bin, where they take away the hazardous stuff like that. And that way it's locked up and you don't have to worry about kids getting a hold of it. I don't even have small kids in my house anymore, but occasionally my grandsons come over, so I don't want to take that chance. And I do have 3 dogs, and I don't want any of them to ever get a hold of something like that and have a problem. Oh, sorry. I'm out of frame. So just keep on felting away, just very gently, but gently. All right, so let's say this is felted on a little bit better. So now what I want to show you is how I'm going to go from the body up onto the arms. So we're going to take another small thin strip like this. Again, we're going to secure it onto the body, but we're going to do it to where it's facing this upward direction. Very, very carefully, because you've got lots of wires up here. You're going to felt it here, just very gently, right there at the top. Then you're going to go up and over and down and up and over. And you can go pretty much any direction, because you're just going to keep doing this until you get this area covered. And you may have to do this a couple of times, and you can even go around the body this way. And then you're going to just secure it. Just like that. Very nice. Just like that. Be very careful. Tapping softly. Very carefully next to these wires. Okay, so we've gone up and over, and then we probably want to do it again, because as you notice, we've got no shoulders. We have no shoulders. So normally at this point, I kind of bend the wire down just a little bit so I can get an idea of how much I want for these shoulders. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull off another piece of this wool, not wire. And I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to very gently and carefully tap it on at the top of the shoulder area on the front. See that? It's right there. And this time I'm going to go around the head and then down. And then I can go around the body. You see that? And then I can start securing it. And this will help kind of give you a little bit of a neck to get started. And then you'll just keep felting that until that goes on. Then we're going to go through and do the arms and the legs. The head from here, you're just going to wind around using the same method, long thin strips. You're going to go around. Then when you get to the actual head, you can start using a little bit thicker strips to start building up the head as you go around and around, felting that on. And then depending on what shape the head is, maybe it's a rounder head. Once you get the basic shape of the head on, maybe you want to, okay, let's say this is your basic shape that you have on your head already, and maybe it needs to be a more rounded head. At this point, what you would do is you would take off pieces of this, you would pull a rounder piece like this, and you would do it on the sides, on each side. You would felt it right there and right here, and that will round up your head. If you need it to be rounder from the front to the back, you would do the same thing from the front to the back. You're literally just keep adding layers and layers and layers to whatever area that needs to be built up. I know y'all don't look at her, she has no clothes on yet. This is going to be Marilyn, and all right, so let's go down. The legs go on the exact same way that we did here. You're going to start with, I always like to start thin, because you can always add, it's so much harder to take away. So with the legs and the arms, you're going to basically start by attaching this little piece to the body, right above where the leg is going to start. Right there. And I usually start out here, and I go between the leg and then around. Between the leg and around. And then I'll reattach this end back to the body. And then you can felt all of this down, and that will start your leg. And then you just keep adding and adding. And then as you come out on the leg itself, I want to show you this. As you come out down the leg itself, you start with really thin, 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 and you wrap it. Let me get this leg out of the way. You wrap this really tight and thin, tight and thin, and take it out the leg nice and tight and thin. You can add more layers as you go back, but if you start off really thick and bulky, sometimes it's really hard to get the air out of here and to get the bulkiness out. If you start off really, really thin to begin with, it makes it a lot easier to felt this down and get a good, smooth finish like this on one of your legs. So these legs are nowhere near done, obviously. She's got a long way to go. I mean, Marilyn Monroe was not skinny mini like this. She was very robust. So this one's got a long way to go. And her legs have to be thickened up. Her arms have to be thickened up. I have not done anything with her face or head yet. I just started her yesterday. So she's got 1,000,000 miles to go. And this guy here, I haven't even started his actual legs yet. He just has the very beginnings of his thighs going on here. And he has no hands at all. So he's also got a very long way to go. I've only shaped out his head a little bit and just the beginnings of his mouth. And I'll show you in another video how we do the faces and the mouth. Anyway, that's your basic how to attach wool to your armature. And from here, it's just a matter of continually building up little bits at a time. We're not always going to be wrapping. Sometimes we're going to be just taking, once you get your basic body on here, let's say we needed to build up her little booty here a little bit. We're not going to wrap all the way around. At this point, if we wanted to build up her booty, we're going to pull off small bits, maybe stack them on top of each other like this, so it's a little puff. Lay it there, and then you would felt that on. Maybe one sheet at a time, so that you do have that natural, space in between. And then you would felt that on. And you just felt in the areas that you need to build up and not wrapping all the way around. Once you've got your basic, body built out like this. Maybe she needs to go maybe a little thicker here. Well, instead of wrapping all the way around, I will only add maybe to the sides, because maybe from here to here she's thick enough. And and she just needs to be a little thicker this way. So I would add a strip here and maybe a strip here and build her up that way. So I hope that helps you out today, and if you have any questions, my name's Tracy. You can reach me at thefelteddesert@gmail.com. Heartfelt thanks for watching our videos. Stay tuned, we've got more videos coming soon. Have a great day.